All right, this is a video about the leaky rear AC and how to get at the plastics without damaging anything. For this job, you're going to need some sort of driver, a lightweight driver with T27 for most of the inside stuff, and a small lightweight screwdriver. Just insert that, and I know it looks like I'm a little bit ahead of you here on this, but once I got it broken down, insert the screwdriver in the end of the lamp there on the little detent side and pop it out. And then once you get that popped out, you'll be able to remove the T27 screw that's in each one of those panels that the light has. There's just one screw for each, and you'll just remove that right there. That's on the end cap where the little air vents are, and that's on the rear cap, middle cap there where that lamp is, and then on the end cap. No problem. Get that moved out. I just wanted to show you those little detents for the filter. You're going to want to put a screwdriver behind that, just pop it. It's very lightweight, very easy to do. And then it pivots on those little tabs. So once you pop that out, that just drops down and pulls out like that. Then there are two T27s, two of them right there that you'll just screw out real quick, and that'll drop that down. All right, this is the trickiest bit right here, is to get this middle section off without breaking anything. There's these three little clips. I've got pictures of it there so you can see the sort of relative position. So you kind of tug down on it, and then you'll be able to push in with that small flathead screwdriver and kind of pop that little metal clip. It's connected by a plastic, but you can see that it's just on each side of the opening and then dead in the middle of the opening on the opening side, and has the same sort of relationship here on this on the other side. Once you get those three sort of pulled down and pushed in, they'll pop down, and then you'll get to a spot where you'll be really happy with where you're at. You'll be able to get that down. All right, so this is about where you'll be, right? You'll have all the lights drop down. You'll have that middle section removed, the middle panel down. And so you'll need to disconnect the wires from the lamp. The front one's easy. Mine just has you just pinch it and it's not a problem. But the two back ones, there's just two little wires and they have a difficult time popping off. If you take a flathead screwdriver, a small one that I showed you, and you just kind of push in there, they will pop off. But they're very difficult to get off. So don't try to pull the wire off as much as you just pop that thing out of there. And then you'll be able to take those gray end caps with the air vents in them, and the front one you'll slide forward. It'll just slide on that track, and the back one you'll slide backwards, and off it'll come. It's pretty straightforward. Then we'll talk about that one long middle section and how to get that off in just a second. All right, let's talk about that middle section. It's long, and you can kind of see the ledges there. It doesn't want to slide forward and back enough that you could take it off. So I was kind of like, well, how do I get that off and pry it off? And the best way that I got it off, and this is kind of a bad example, not great filming, I apologize for that, but I just pushed on the center of it, and it gave it another ½ an inch on each side, and then I was able to kind of pry it off. So I don't know if you can see me and I'm trying to film with one hand there in the van, but I'm pushing on the center of that, and that whole assembly just popped right off with a little bit of tugging, and I wasn't in any danger of getting it, damaging it. So that's a little bit tricky, but just by pushing in the middle, you'll buy yourself an extra 3/4 of an inch, and that's more than enough to get that off. So once you got the gray plastic pieces off, you got these black pieces underneath there. There's two T27s and two other T27s with the bushing. There's 6 in that whole back assembly, but here's all you do is those two holes right there and those two larger ones with the bushing. Once you get those undone, boom, out she comes. The one in the back has 6, and headliners get dirtier than you'd expect. All right, there's a ring around there with T27s in it, machine screw. Get your extension, spin them out. That's all there is to it. So now that you're done with the inside, I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it is a T30 on the top. It's a bigger one. And I think there's 8 plus 4 on the rail, so that's total of 12. Anyway, you'll want a good gun, spin them out real quick, and away you go. Once you get those off, you also do the T27s on the front unit, which is smaller. Here's the problem. That crossbar right there keeps you from lifting that front section. So what you'll have is a couple of bolts on that crossbar on each side. You can see them there in this picture. And you'll have a support for the condenser line there that you'll have to remove. That's a 13 millimeter and a T30 and a 10 millimeter on the back of that crossbar. Anyway, you'll spin those things out and it'll go from looking like this to looking like this. And it's pretty straightforward, nothing really crazy. Don't remove anything else, just take those out. And then you'll be able to see, they'll be able to pick that gray part up, the cover, and you'll be able to see all the bits in there. And then there's a little foam insulator in there. I need to get that in the house before the wind blows it away. Once you get that off, though, it's pretty nice. Look, you can lift up those pretty good. You can even see where my gasket was and was not. And particularly in this, second picture, you can see up towards the front leading edge there, the right part of the screen. That's probably where most of my leak was coming from. The gasket wasn't doing its thing. It was a foam gasket. I don't know if I just want to reposition it and give it a shot, or if I'm going to go with a silicone bead. I almost think the silicone bead's the right answer. So before I get going too much farther, I need to get that cleaned up either way, get all that dirt removed from there, and get ready to put the bead in. Alright, I'm showing you this picture so you can kind of see a big picture of kind of how I propped it up and I got it cleaned up. You can kind of see the size of the hole, and we'll take a little look and we'll dig in and take a look at the front edge first, which is that side right there. And you can see that I can get all the way to the front, and I can even pick that driver's side up over there on the other side. I can pick that up an inch or two, so it's not a problem to get that bead all the way around. I ran a 1/4 inch bead right about a 1/4 inch away from the edge, and then I backed another 1/4 inch bead to it. It's not super critical that it get that you be worried too much about the overspill, because it's all covered up. And then this is the back. This is a little tougher to get to. And as you run down that back side, you get closer and closer to where the air conditioning comes in. And that's where it gets pretty tight. But I did the same 1/4 inch bead and then backed it up with the 1/4 inch bead. And I let it tack a little bit. And it's this GE clear waterproof silicone number 2 plus. I think you can buy it almost anywhere, 50-year guarantee, that kind of thing. A smaller tube that had a sort of pointier nose might have done a nicer job in that tighter section where you could get that in there. The front part of this, putting the bead on, looked really good. The back part, it didn't look all that great, but it got the job done. And where it was difficult to get with a regular size caulk gun, I just put in a little extra thick, but that's not too bad. And then as soon as I got it done, I jumped underneath and started bolting down jumped underneath and bolted the ring, so it pulled it all tight. This next picture that I have right here is some bolts, the number 30 bolts on the top that holds the large plastic over cover on the top, not the bottom one. They're not made of stainless steel, and so they're 6 millimeter, 1.0 on the thread, and they're about 12 to 16 millimeters long. I got a fender washer that's also made of stainless steel, and I replaced it with stainless steel up there so they wouldn't rust. You can see the cord going into the back of the van here. The point of that is that it was a big, thundery, rainy night, and so I put a space heater, a little electric space heater in the van, plugged it in, and let it run. So not too bad. Pretty happy with how it's all gone. You can see that I've got that reinstalled. It was pretty straightforward. I got the ring on the bottom of all 22 of those little T27 bolts. Then once I got all done, then I started putting those covers back on, so it was pretty straightforward. So now that you're done, I guess you can relax and have yourself maybe a cup of coffee. And if you're not into coffee, maybe you had a rougher time with it, some bean, it's not a bad idea. And hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully I've given you the sizes that I used and the tools that we used. And if you have any comments or questions, I just couldn't find this anywhere on the internet to figure out how to do this, and so how to do it without breaking parts. So hopefully it helps. Thanks.